Hi, I'm Omar Ali Boy from Tapas Revolution Restaurants, and I'm here today in Bath in our restaurant just in Southgate, very near the train station, in case you want to come and try us. And I'm going to show you how to cook a traditional paella like the ones we do in the restaurant. I'm going to introduce you to the ingredients. I have a little bit of chicken stock already prepared, but then the ingredients for this basic paella are all what you can see over here: some chicken thighs, drumsticks, tomatoes, artichokes, runner beans or flat beans, whatever you can find in season, good Spanish saffron, some sweet smoked paprika, good extra virgin olive oil from Spain, all of these ingredients by the way, and good bomba rice. This is very important, not arborio rice from Italy, not jasmine rice. It needs to be proper rice for paella from Spain that you can find luckily in all supermarkets these days. Fresh rosemary and garlic. So let's crack on with the cooking. We're gonna start with the paella pan. This is where paella is called paella because the pan is called paella, so a fundamental ingredient, if we can call it that way, but a tool really to cook it. And high heat, and I'm going to pour a generous amount of extra virgin olive oil. Having said that, I will be putting more oil later on, and I'm going to add now the chicken thigh, and always skin side down because we want the fat to render down and help with the oil and with the cooking. So obviously olive oil tastes fantastic, but a bit of the fat from the skin of the chicken tastes as well very good, and it's all a fundamental part of the process and of the taste. While the chicken browns and gets a nice crispy skin and a bit of flavor, let me show you how to clean an artichoke, which seems a bit of a sort of dinosaur style of vegetable, but it's a very important in the Spanish cuisine with a lot of artichoke, and actually it's one of my favorite vegetables. So first we need to, and be careful, it's quite pointy, you can hurt yourself a little bit. I'm pretty used to now, but how we're going to start is just by peeling off leaf by leaf and just sort of trying to get into the heart. You know, it's a laborious journey, particularly when you need to do like we do hundreds of them every day, but at home, just take your time and you can see how you quickly get to the heart. So the more you trim, you see, the easier it will get to snap the leaves, and sort of it's exposing the heart already. So it's up to you how deep you go, but I'm gonna stop around there. Take a look where I am. So at this point I'm going to cut, take a look, that sort of top, which is really hard leaves, and I'm going to trim with the help of a paring knife here into the stalk. The stalk, depending on the how old the artichoke is, can be pretty tough. So sometimes you can use the stalk, a bit longer, others you can't. It's just too tough. And this one, because we are late in the season, it's pretty much useless. It has good flavor, but it's so stocky that it's not worth putting it into the paella pan. So that's why I'm trimming most of it and just leaving really the inner part. Take a look. Okay, and now I'm just going to go around it, make it look a little pretty. That's it, it's nice and round. Take a look, cut the stalk. Wow, it's very woody actually. So I'm just gonna cut it. And now I'm going to cut this artichoke in half. Cut it into sort of diamonds, 6 pieces. That should be a good number. And now, this is an important part. Take a look at the hair inside. That's not edible. So what we are going to be doing is just trimming it and discarding it completely. Okay? So what we leave is this part. If the artichoke would be younger, there'll be not as much hair. This is a sign of an old artichoke, and it's not worse. It has same amount of flavor, it's fantastic. It just requires a lot more cleaning, that is all. So I'm just gonna discard that and do it with every little piece. Okay? Let's turn the chicken over. Nice golden, dark golden color. That's what we are after. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn the side. That's not yet. Take a look. I'm not looking for a light color like this one. I'm looking more like that, so I'm just gonna leave it here for a little longer. Paella is a very technical recipe, like, you know, I always say rice is the most difficult ingredient with flour to cook in the world, you know. Steaks, fish, vegetables are a lot easier. The reality is at home we never used to cook paella that much as a kid, so we used to eat it from the restaurants. And I would always go and ask the chefs when we were going to a restaurant, how do you do it? And so on, and I was always there in the door of the kitchen looking through to learn all the tricks. So I guess it's been pure experience in my case, you know, just reading books and practicing. But come on, I'll show you the next set of ingredients.
Brilliant.
So at this point we're going to add,
That's right.
at this point we are going to add, you can see now the chicken is kind of nice and golden in all sides, okay? And I'm going to add the artichoke to just get a little bit of color, and in a couple of minutes I will add my runner beans. While the rest of the ingredients cook in the pan, I'm just going to thinly chop, or actually you could actually grate it as well, up to you. Take a look. You know, maybe it's unusual for you to grate a garlic, but in Spain we do it quite frequently, particularly when cooking paella. Take a look, that's what you do. So I thought for a change, I'll show you a new trick. Maybe it's easier. You could do it as well with a thinner side. Maybe it's a little easier. Not easier, it just chops it a little better. Take a look. That's what grandmas will do in Spain. So I'm cooking like a grandma, as you know. There's nothing more comforting as grandma's cooking. So hopefully you'll get to see what it looks like today. Okay, let's give this one more stir, you know, turn the artichokes around, and the idea, fundamental for the paella, is that we want to extract as much flavor of every ingredient that goes in a pan. So we are following an order. The harder ingredient goes first into the pan, the chicken. The second more resistant goes first, the artichoke, then we'll go with the beans and so on. Because as soon as we put the tomato, which is kind of liquid, then the ingredients will not brown anymore. So that is the key. Just brown your ingredients as much as you can. You want to see really dark tones. I'm going to add the runner beans. Take a look. You can see ingredients are browning nicely. And now I'm going to grate a tomato. Okay, again using the cores, I'm just going to leave it here on my chopping board. And one of the good things, pay attention to this little trick. When you grate that tomato, you can actually peel it while you're grating it. So if I start, take a look, and I kind of turn it around while I do it, you see what's gonna happen. Just as slowly, the skin is going to end up all in my hand. Take a look at that. Peeled tomato, nicely chopped. So now that my ingredients are nicely brown, you can see the beans taking some color, the artichokes are quite charred. I'm going to add my garlic with a bit more oil. Take a look. Some more extra virgin olive oil. I like to, and a little note, why you don't add all the oil at the beginning and you add it now. I add oil as it's required. Why? Because the oil I just added is a lot fresher and a lot less degraded than the one I used at the beginning. So the beginning will have a lot of flavor, but you know, this one feels a lot fresher. So I'm just going to add my grated garlic now, where there is the oil, which normally it runs into the middle of the pan. Take a look. Give it a little mix. And now I'm going to add the paprika. Very important. With this, I'm just going to add like a teaspoon. Take a look. Give it a nice mix. And you can start to see that it gets sort of those orangey, yellowy colors that makes the paella so famous. And now, so that my garlic and my paprika doesn't burn, which you know is a very fine spice, I'm going to add the tomatoes straight away. With my knife, take a look. That's probably enough. Not over tomatoey. You see what I said? Now it's no longer frying. Ingredients no longer can acquire more taste through the charring process and the caramelization, because we've added a liquid ingredient, which is the tomato. And now we're gonna go with the stock. But let me tell you an important part while the tomato reduces down about the paprika. Spanish paprika, it's, you know, paprikas are done all around the world. And the reality is that in most countries like Argentina, China, Hungary, they sun dry the peppers. In Spain we smoke dry them. You know, we have these beautiful smoke houses and we put all the peppers in the first floor and a little chimney on the bottom. And that sort of dries them and smokes them for 2 weeks. We keep stirring the peppers for those 2 weeks, and that's why it gives that smoky flavor to any dish you add it. Or that's why chorizo feels smoky too, because it has the paprika, not because they smoke the chorizos.
Yes, brilliant.
Yeah, and now another one here. And here I have a very important ingredient, Spanish paprika, the most expensive spice in the world, at about €6 a gram, £6 a gram at the minute. How's the state of the pound at the minute? But you'll see how it taints and flavors the stock, the chicken stock that I have over here. So I'm just going to put a pinch for this paella. This paella is like a paella for 3 approximately. So I'm just going to sprinkle it, and you will see in a second how it all turns yellow. Pay attention to this pan over here. Take a look. Take a look. Just seconds after, see how it turns all yellow. That's the famous flavor of the paella. So now put the heat to its maximum. Flames going all around, and I'm going to add the stock. Right, make sure you don't waste any saffron. It's an expensive business, but very, very worth it. And now we are gonna wait for 5 minutes until it comes to the boil, and we let all the ingredients cook a little bit, and for the broth or the stock to form. All those caramelized bits will sort of dilute in the water, forming a very rich stock, which is what we're after. You can see what a big flame you need to cook paellas, and what a wide pan. You would never be able to cook a paella in a pot or in a saucepan. You need a very flat pan. If you don't have a paella pan, just do it on a frying pan, and you'll see that you cannot cook that many. In the restaurant, we only do paellas for 4. That is the maximum that a burner of this width can cope with to make them really good, obviously. So the paella has been sort of simmering for 5 minutes approximately. You can see what a nice tone of color has acquired, and I'm just going to season it now. The reality is that salt can be added at any moment, alright? But it's important that it's done before the rice goes in. As you'll see, I'm going to pour it now, and I'm going to have another taste in 2 minutes, because it should feel completely over salty, okay? But because that's what we need, because the rice will absorb that saltiness. So at this point, in a minute or so, I'm gonna try it, and it should taste very, very salty, unbearably salty, that you think, oh, you can't eat that. The reality is it will balance out by the end of the cooking. So just a little stir, make sure that the grains of rice are properly spread, and that's it. All we need to do is to wait and cook it on high heat for about 12 minutes, and then cook it on lower heat for around 5 to 8 minutes until it has completely dehydrated. The rice has absorbed all the water, and I'm gonna show you later. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna have a little taste of the stock, as I said, a minute later. It does taste very salty, but as I said, it will even out later. So I don't need to rectify this, it's right now. So take a look, about 10 minutes are gone now, and you can see that the water level has decreased to sort of the same, to even out with the rice. So what happens is with all the oil, as you know, it floats above the stock, always. So now what the stock, so the oil has made is just sort of to sit on top of the rice, creating a natural lid, which is really interesting. But when cooking it at home, you need to be mindful of the amount of liquid that you add, the ratio, because each burner, each pan, each amount of rice that you add will be different. So sometimes you can run out of water. If that is the case, it's better to put a lid to it than to add water to it. In the case of if you've put too much water, then just keep it on high heat to reduce it down quicker. Those are kind of a few rules in case something goes wrong at home. Those are what you should respect. Just try not to add any more water from the kettle, like you will probably feel the instinct of doing. And now sort of when the water level is below the rice, we add a few sprigs of rosemary, and it's purely for aromas. Rosemary is a very intense tasting as well herb, and if you put it in the stock, it will intoxicate the entire paella. It'll all taste like rosemary, so we just like to put it on top for a bit of aroma. Now we just need to wait for the last 5 minutes for hopefully a little crust on the bottom to form, called socarrat, which to me is the most special part. So when there is no liquid left, it's only the oil that remains, and that should start crisping up on the bottom, and we should hear it later on. You'll see how the noise changes, and then it'll be ready to eat. This paella is done. I I know because of the noise below the paella, even though you cannot see it, it sounds like crispy and popping. And that means the oil is sort of frying the bottom part of the pan, which is, as I said, a very precious part. So I'm just gonna switch it off and we should go and have a little taste. Right, that is it. Well, I'm Omar Rally Boy. Remember to come by a Tapas Revolution. I hope you enjoyed the paella recipe, that you try it at home. In case you need further explanation, you can find the recipe on my book, Tapas Revolution, and I hope to see you around in the restaurant for some good Spanish food, good Spanish hospitality. And this is just a sample of all the million tapas and rice dishes that we do. So, hasta pronto!